Hey everyone, you're listening to Wasted Pitch, a show for the not so serious baseball lover. Join us as we discuss, debate, and dive into a wide range of baseball topics from the past and present. Hosted by three friends with a lifelong love of America's game. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Apparently, the AAA teams this year are going to be using an electronic strike zone for the entire season. I'm excited about this one. I think everybody is probably really excited about it. So basically, It's going to be used in two different ways. So half the games are going to be played with all of the calls determined by an electronic strike zone. And then the other half will be played with a ABS challenge, which is automatic balls and strikes. So each team is going to be allowed 3 challenges per game, with teams retaining challenges when they are proved correct. So 2 different styles. I think they're just using it to get data points to see which one works best, which one they like the most.
And here they're trying to speed up the game and they want to do like replay. No, a challenge. Let's go to the replay. That's not helping the cause at all. That's dumb.
Well, I don't think it's a replay. I think it's going to be determining it, but not telling anyone until the challenge. And then when it's challenged, it's going to say ball or strike.
Yeah, so it's basically there's going to be a home plate ump.
Yeah, there's
of course.
Is it double A? There's some league that does it, and the batters just tap their head. They tap the top of their helmet, and that's their signal for a challenge, and they get the answer, like they radio down to the umpire right away.
So is it the batter that gets the challenge, or is it the manager?
I don't know. In this league, that I don't know what league it was. It was the batter, but I don't know how MLB is going to handle it.
I think I remember seeing a clip about that. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who has the power to challenge it. Because there are some batters that know that are better than umpires. Sure. And then do you give them the power, or does the coach do it, manager?
But there's certainly going to be those batters that are like, come on, I was totally strike, dude. I'm challenging it, and it's just like, dude, you just wasted it, jackass.
Right.
So there's always those guys as well.
Yeah. So you don't want to give those guys the power.
It's going to be interesting to see how things play out, and like if the system does get implemented at the professional level. And that's kind of a big if right now. Like, who knows what's going to happen? But it's going to completely change the way the game is played. I think, like, no matter what system they determine works best. I think one thing that I'm super excited about is like the days of the catcher framing the strike zone. Will soon be gone, or it feels like it could be gone, which I think is a good thing because for me, that's become like one of the most annoying aspects of close calls. Like so many times we see, yeah, exactly. Like so many times we see a call go the other way because the catcher has the ability to mask the fact that it was clearly a ball, but they're just quick enough to where they can just bring it back into the strike zone. Like we see it all the time. We see guys get out on a strike
That's one of those situations that's been around since baseball began 180 years ago or whatever it was. They've been doing that forever. It's kind of entertaining at times when they really get obnoxious with it and still try to bring it back. It's almost like that puts the ref in a position, or the umpire in a position of like, all right, do I fall for this jackassery or what?
I feel like it's like ramped up completely over the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. It feels more significant now than it ever has.
It's become a sport of its own.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it's also going to mean
every defensive player in the NFL has to celebrate no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what they do, they have to celebrate after the tackle.
Even if they don't do anything, they just they celebrate.
Yeah. Let's do a dance.
It's also going to mean that the home plate umpire's responsibilities are going to be greatly reduced. So maybe the Angel Hernandez days of wrecking games might be close to over.
We can
only hope. But that'll be kind of weird to see, I guess. I mean, they're still obviously going to have a home plate umpire, but he's only going to be there.
Have a first base, second base, third base umpires out there in the field. They're still going to make the calls on runners and all that.
Yeah, for sure. And I would assume, I mean, the calls are still going to have to be made on
check swings.
Yeah. So I don't know. Either way, I'm excited about this one. I'm curious to see how it goes. Maybe this means that people pay a little bit more attention to AAA this year, at least for a few games, just to check it out. I really want to see how quickly, if it does go well, how quickly they try to take action, because something needs to change. Like, clearly there is a need for this. Otherwise, they wouldn't be implementing
testing
this.
it.
Yeah.
People have complained and protested too much. It's going to happen sooner than later.
And it's a good year.
Strikes being called.
It's a good year for them to start testing this, because I think they have something like 8 umpires from last year have retired. So we're getting a new generation of umpires now. So this is a good time to start introducing new. I
think it was like 8 or 10 or something like that, right?
Yeah, let's get an exact number.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I like it. I think it's going to be a great idea.
10. Yeah, you're right. 10.
I hope it works out. I hope we get to see some change.
That'll speed up the game. Just automatically a bold strike called right then and there, like
boom.
Hell yeah.
Well, I guess my question is how is that information going to be relayed? Like, who's making the call, right? Is it going to be something that the home plate umpire has a earpiece in?
I think that's how they're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That would make the most sense.
See, no, he shouldn't even call it at all. There should be like, it should just go off on the board. Like, it'll be like, it'll show strike, it'll show ball. You'll see something light up or something. He shouldn't have to call it. Like, umpires should just let it play out. That's what I think.
Yeah, but I mean,
you still need the strike.
Yeah, you still got to have that, and you still got to.
You're gonna have the pitcher throw the pitch and then turn around to watch the scoreboard if it was a ball or a strike.
Yeah. I think stadiums will, like, the whole ring will light up light red or green. You know, whichever's a ball and strike color kind of thing.
I mean,
it's going to get ridiculous.
They could do cool things with automation and hooking it into the system.
Yeah. It's because it's got to be an instant sort of call.
Yeah.
If they're going to do this thing like, okay, that's a ball. Now you got to tell the ump, and then the ump's got to say something. Nope, that's wasting time right there.
Oh, man. Now I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
I feel like if we had a bigger platform, which we don't, we have a really small platform, I would probably catch a lot of flack for what I'm about to say. But I think it needs to be said. The postseason is not the same without Joe Buck calling games. I want to look at your faces to see what your reaction is. Eric is scowling.
Utter disgust.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish my train of thought, and then you can.
Joe Buck's guy, John.
Let me finish my train of thought, and then we can discuss. I know lots of people hate him because they think he's a homer for certain teams, or they think he talks too much, or whatever reason people find to dislike him. But none of that matters, because the fact is, he was the best in the business. And the new announcer that took over on Fox, I don't even know his name. John, is it John? John something? That's how memorable that guy is. He's nowhere near the caliber.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. He's nowhere near the caliber commentator that Buck was. And I think it's a huge loss for MLB because watching the games, it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same impact.
He has like John Smoltz with him all the time now, the new guy.
Well, Smoltz has always been there. It was always Joe Buck and it was always Joe Buck and John Smoltz
during the playoffs and stuff, right? Yeah,
he's still there.
Was that? Yeah, Smoltz is okay, but I think now he talks way too much. Now it's just like desperate times.
Well, and people complain about Joe Buck like being a homer and kind of like, jerking off his favorite teams or whatever it was. But I don't know if you guys watched the World Series last year. Smoltz was I don't think he said one good thing about the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because he hates the Phillies from his days at the Braves or whatever it was, but it was at least with Buck, like Buck would say, for the most part, he would say a few nice things about both teams. And then he would lock onto a player and that's what we would hear about, which is fine. That's what,
all right, Eric.
That's why he's so good at it. Yeah, Eric.
What you got?
Why I dislike him?
Dog?
Okay, to start with, you just mentioned him locking onto a player. He will stay on a subject for innings. If something happens, that's all he'll talk about. He'll ignore the game and just talk about that one thing. And I also want to preface this that as much as I don't like him, he's much more preferred than Joe Morgan.
Okay.
Joe Morgan, absolute worst. So I'll take Joe Buck over Morgan any day. But it's the combination of his voice and his locking on to one single subject for way too long that gets to me, while ignoring the game that's happening in front of him.
Paul,
that's got nothing. That's got zero weight whatsoever, Eric.
But your job is to, announce the game.
Call the game every inning, focus. Yeah, I get it. I get that. Sure. Man. I can sort of understand from his point of view where, sure, you're kind of finding things to talk about every now and again. And maybe whatever play or whatever Seinfeld moment he had that he needed to focus on it for 4 more innings. I get that. But at the same time, it's like, sometimes you just gotta, there's nothing else to talk about.
So
you can't sit there and be excited, announcer guy, the whole entire time.
But that's the thing.
Oh my God! Did you
Baseball
see that pitch?
Is a slow game. You don't need to talk every moment of it. You can stop talking for a minute. You can let the viewer watch the wind up in the pitch, and then say, give your little commentary. You don't need to be talking every moment.
I think you're outnumbered on this one here, at least here at this podcast, Eric.
I'm used to it at this point.
I understand where you're coming from, though, and he does tend to lock onto players and talk about them for what seems like endless amounts of time, and especially if it's a player for the team that you're not rooting for, it can become obnoxious. But to counter that point, I would say the reason he's locked onto that player is because that player is doing something really, really good in that game or in that series, doing something meaningful. I remember the 2014 World Series where he locked onto Madison Bumgarner. And that's how I know Joe Buck, is when he was just going off about how good Madison Bumgarner was, and Madison Bumgarner is having an epic game and all this kind of shit and blah, 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 blah. That's all we would hear. But looking back on it, it's because that was one of the greatest postseasons that we've seen from a pitcher in decades? I mean, it was amazing. It was incredible. And had it been, Joe Morgan back there calling the game, who the fuck knows what we would have had from him?
You're talking about games from 1940.
Yeah, or the new guy. I don't even know the new guy's name. We're gonna have to look that up so we can get his name. But we wouldn't have gotten this. It wouldn't have been the same effect, basically. And you look back on all the World Series that Buck has called, and there have been so many.
Oh, definitely.
Just playoffs, just so many iconic moments, and he's the voice of that. And to have that shift,
that's part of it right there.
He's the voice of the World Series.
He's just been doing it for so long. The World Series and NFL, the dude has just been there all year round, calling anything and everything. Well, not so much anything, but calling everything. So it's almost it's just, how can you not sort of accept it and sort of adjust to it over the years?
Accept it, Eric. Accept your fate.
He's no Don Orsillo.
Who was the guy who called games Sunday night for ESPN? He was like the San Francisco Giants. Big white dude. Big guy. Iconic voice. Y'all know him.
Oh.
The crew that they have on there now is not very good.
Yeah.
I can't stand to hear Alex Rodriguez call a game.
Oh, God, no.
I'll say that.
Oh, God, he's old. Him trying to do like the Manning cast of those Sunday night baseball games. They're trying to do, what was it? Alex Rodriguez and I don't remember who it was, but it's just like, oh my God, dude, stop this, ESPN. Stop immediately.
He's got
that
guy was Matt Beskarian, wasn't it?
No, Matt Beskersian is pretty good. He does, or he used to do.
Yeah.
He's
on
is
the
good.
MLB Network.
Yeah, that's right.
But he did Sunday Night Baseball for a while, didn't he?
It's possible.
John Miller? Yes, John Miller is the
familiar. Yeah, I think
that's
John
the big
Miller.
guy from the Giants. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yep. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, got that out of my head.
Nice. He was good. But,
yeah, he was.
Anyway, I hope at some point in the future we get to hear Buck again. That's all I'm going to say. Suck it, Eric. I'll say that too.
I like that. Suck it.
Shed a tear.
Is ESPN going to do baseball now? Maybe potentially. Do they do baseball games ever? Like
yeah, they do the Sunday night baseball, but it's that crew that is horrible. It's Alex Rodriguez and whoever else is on there.
Right.
They have a female broadcaster on there who's actually better than all the other guys that are on there.
Absolutely.
I would rather it would just be her and somebody else.
Yeah.
But they bring in like 3 other people for whatever reason. They feel like they need to have a.
Yeah. Again, you don't need.
You need
two people. That's it, and they don't need to talk all the time.
Yeah.
Well, do you think they'll potentially get Joe Buck in there doing some baseball with ESPN?
I would hope so.
I hope so.
I don't hope so.
You have to.
Yeah. Apple TV, I don't know if you guys have Apple TV or not, but they do Friday night baseball games. They usually do 2 every week. And their announcers were actually pretty decent as well. I was impressed with their broadcasts. They were better than expected. All right, moving on. Oh, by the way, Paul, I don't know if you've listened to last week's episode, but it seemed like at every moment you did like this little like perfect transition word. Like at the end you said boom, and it was just like perfect. That was the ending. And like at one point you were like next, and it led us into the next segment perfectly. So I want to thank you for that.
There you go. You're welcome.
All right, guys, let's talk about some winners and losers of the off season. I think a lot of publications talk about this, and they have their own conclusions as to who won and who lost. But here at Wasted Pitch, we're going to do our own, because why not? I'm gonna say it's hard to declare losers of the off season in this situation, or at least for me, it was hard to choose some losers. I feel like there's a lot of teams that are actively trying to be very conservative this off season, which is understandable. So I think for me, the teams that I chose, they're not necessarily losers as much as they are underachievers, is what we'll call them. But I want to start with the winners first.
Are they underachieving because they want to get Shohei Ohtani?
Maybe. The ones on my list, I doubt, are trying to get Shohei. But let's talk about the winners first.
Guarantee the reason why the Dodgers didn't do anything is because they want Shohei.
That could be very, very true.
Yeah.
Is he going to be available this summer, like at the trade deadline?
If the Angels suck this year, he's getting traded at the deadline.
Okay. Maybe that's
Guaranteed.
what they're waiting on, because the Dodgers really didn't do much this offseason.
Exactly, and they dumped all those contracts, so
man,
it
that's
only
going to
makes
be
sense. And they have the hugest prospects pool to like offer them whatever they want.
All right, first one I've got on here: the New York Mets, the New York Metropolitan. I think even with the Carlos Correa deal falling through, they had a great fucking offseason.
Mm-hmm. What did they do?
They signed Brandon Nimmo, Edwin Diaz, Justin Verlander, who was basically replacing Jacob deGrom. They picked up a Japanese pitcher, Kodai Senga, and then One that kind of flew under the radar because of all the other shit that was going on with their team was Jose Quintana. So they signed him. Their pitching staff is pretty locked and loaded.
How many pitchers did they sign this offseason?
A lot. And they also re-signed Adam Ottavino. So yeah, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 pitchers basically that they picked up in the offseason.
They've committed more dollars of their 2023 payroll to free agents this offseason than any other team.
Yeah.
Which we're talking about the Mets.
The Mets.
Who, for the past however many decades, have not been in the buyer's seat.
No, not at all. And even when I think it was Steve Cohen, when he took over, he even said, he was like, we're not going to be shelling out all this money for big name players and top talent, which that was 2 years ago, and obviously something changed because they were about ready to throw the fucking bag at Carlos Correa. But then they have all these other players.
He was like, wait a minute, I'm a billionaire. I was just kidding about that.
Yeah, exactly. Another team for me is the Texas Rangers.
Yep, that's on my list.
Well, so who else besides DeGrom?
They got Andrew Heaney from the Dodgers, and then Jake Odorizzi as well. Which that should complete their starting 5 and put them in a really good position. But what I think makes them a winner this offseason is the hiring of Bruce Bochy, longtime Giants skipper.
Yeah, that was good.
We all know the success that he had
Padre
there.
Skipper as well.
I think that's a big move for them, and I think it's going to put them in a good position in the AL West for years to come.
3rd place.
Good. Get out of here, Paul.
Who?
What?
Royals, bro. Royals. Awesome.
We're talking about the AL West. We're not talking about the AL Central. Should be a fun team to watch.
Well, there's no way they're going to be better than Houston and Seattle. There's no way they're going to be better than them. Guaranteed. Okay, Angels will potentially still be better than Texas Rangers. Oakland Athletics will potentially be better than the Texas Rangers.
There's no way. You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
What are you even talking about? The A's? The A's are tanking so they can go to Las Vegas.
Well, I don't think they're tanking on purpose. They don't have a choice. The players. Yeah, no, A's, you're right. Whatever.
I will be. But
yeah, no, dude.
I would put money that they come in second place in the AL West.
We're betting right now. Okay. What do you want to bet?
$50.
Eric, $50. The Rangers come in second place.
Yes. No worse than second.
Yes, you're on. Okay. Heard that. Eric?
What?
You want in on this action?
No.
You want to give me money too? I would take your $50 gladly.
You just took my fantasy football money, so.
Yes. And I will every year.
Yeah, please.
I think Texas is spending more money than necessary. But they're trying to buy it, but it's not going to work. They have zero depth.
We'll see.
Anyways, go Mariners. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Winners and losers of the offseason. Yes,
Yep.
I'm in on this. I got this.
No, this is getting good. I like this. It's getting heated. It's only going to get worse from here on out, I promise you.
Perfect.
The other team that I feel like is a big winner is the New York Yankees. I didn't want to put them on this list because it was kind of hard not to. When you look at who they kept Anthony Rizzo, they kept Aaron Judge, which was big for them. I think keeping Judge was big, not only for talent on their team, but just in terms of morale as a team altogether. I think if you let Aaron Judge walk and go to the Giants or whoever he was potentially going to, I think that's a big blow to the Yankees organization, especially considering their postseason run last year, or lack of a postseason run last year. They brought in Carlos Rodon, which is a big
that's right,
a big addition for them. Mm-hmm. It's going to be weird for me to say, but I think the Yankees are America's best shot at not seeing an Astros repeat title this year, and that's why I feel like that was a good. They were winners in the offseason for me.
All right.
Eric, you agree with that, Eric?
I don't disagree.
Eric's
So
a Red
let's put
Sox
that
fan,
there.
everyone. So let's take everything that he says with a grain of salt.
I mean, yeah, the team they have right now is perfect for their stadium. It's perfect for their play style. Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Paul,
I think it's, Aaron Judge, they needed to do it. They needed to re-sign him. Absolutely. Anthony Rizzo, great keeping him there. Who did they lose? Do you got
that's
who
a
they
great
lost
question.
there in the offseason?
Tell you who they needed to lose.
Rodon's great pickup for their staff for sure.
They got rid of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who was not good.
He was like a shortstop or something, wasn't he?
He was horrible on defense, so that's probably good for them. Aaron Hicks is gone as well. But they retained Josh Donaldson and Gleyber Torres.
God.
Man, M's were going after Glaber for a hot minute.
Boone's the one holding him back at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What about teams like, say, the Cubs, maybe?
So the Cubs were another one, and I
few
didn't put them
people.
on my list just because that would have been another team to add on there. But the Cubs for sure, and I think a lot of different articles I read had the Cubs as big winners this year.
And the guys they got, big, like, long-term deals.
Yeah.
They got Swanson for 7 years. They got
They picked up Bellinger. I think he's on a 2-year
Bellinger.
deal.
Yep.
And they picked up Eric Hosmer, who it wasn't expensive,
have a comeback
so
year.
it's going to be it doesn't really matter if it's a total loss.
Low
on their
risk,
part.
high reward.
Yeah. So yeah, the Cubs were definitely on the list.
Phillies picked up Trey Turner and Taijuan Walker. They had a good year, a good offseason.
Yeah, Phillies should be pretty damn good next year. On paper, they should be pretty damn good.
They were close to like a 500 team at the end of the season, though, weren't they? Like getting into the playoffs?
Yeah, they weren't. They almost didn't make it in the playoffs. They started out really well, and then they just kind of fell off. And then finally kind of made a little comeback toward the end that put them over the hump. So maybe next year will be their year. Who knows? Okay, let's move on to the losers.
It's going to be the Mariners year.
And remember, as I said at the beginning, they are not so much losers as they are underachievers. So I expect a big argument from you on this one, Paul. But I had to go with the Mariners. Mariners are underachievers for the offseason.
That's certainly, yes.
Oh.
Everybody expected, like, we made it to the playoffs, like, and we have this money to spend. We don't have, like, we didn't have huge contracts, not many huge contracts, but, like, we extended Julio, of course. Last year, midseason, we traded for Luis Castillo, and we gave up some for him, so that's kind of like a bigger move for us right now. We extended him for like 5 years. Teoscar Hernandez, it's going to be good. He can hit. He hit those 2 home runs off us in the wild card game. So it's like if you can't beat him, trade for him. Colton Wong at second base. That's like when we signed Adam Frazier last year. I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, oh, this guy's going to be great defensively and 280 hitter, something like that. So could be some clutch hits and Frazier had some clutch hits, but he wasn't consistent enough. So Colton Wong, who knows? Early 30s. Could be a good pickup. Could be like, you could just kind of be average and not worth it kind of thing.
Yeah, I was really hoping the Mariners
right.
would make kind of a big splash this offseason. And I feel like Mariners fans probably felt like that as well. I mean, they're in a division that is clearly ruled by the Astros, who will most likely not relinquish that crown this year, barring any injuries or like a major World Series hangover. They have to contend with, as we talked about earlier, the big money ballers in Arlington down there.
Anaheim the same way. They spent a bunch of money and a bunch of bullshit trades as well. Like, on paper, both those teams should improve a lot.
On paper.
On paper.
Yeah, and I don't think they did enough to improve upon their roster from last year. the roster last year was good enough
Yeah.
to get them to the postseason, but it wasn't good enough to compete with those higher
Yeah.
caliber squads. Maybe they're waiting a couple years for things to cool down in their division. Like maybe they're waiting for Altuve to die on the field or something. I don't know. Or maybe they're waiting for like a pickup at the trade deadline this year. Like maybe they're kind of holding their chips to figure out who's going to be available. Who knows what they're thinking, but I don't know. They're not thinking a deep postseason run this year. That's for sure.
I think they're still kind of banking a lot on younger people, younger guys kind of turning that corner, i.e. Jared Kelnick or Taylor Trammell. Those two guys, they've been kind of hoping a lot the last couple of years out of them. Evan White, another first baseman guy that we've been expecting a whole lot, but it's just like they didn't excel as quickly as Julio did. So we're kind of in that hope. If we spend a lot of money on Trey Turner or somebody or Dansby and give them 30 some odd million a year, like, does that necessarily make us a better team? Yes, but the same role, like strapping payroll is also kind of weird. But that's the day and age we're in. You need to like pay and be strapped payroll wise if you want to compete nowadays. So yeah, Mariners didn't do enough. You're absolutely correct.
And the other team that I only had two teams on here. And now that I'm looking at this, I feel like I'm picking on you guys, or it may seem like I'm picking on you guys, but I'm not. It's the Boston Red Sox.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Eric, but you guys are losers.
I'm with you 100%. I put him as the biggest loser, so.
I don't, maybe not full on loser, but like it wasn't a good offseason for the Red Sox in any.
It was disastrous.
The bright spot was Rafael Devers, right?
No, not just because of Bogarts, but huge loss letting Bogarts walk. They apparently weren't even close to each other in their negotiations.
$120 million off of negotiation. Way off.
Yeah. So San Diego just snatched him up. Like, you bring a player up from a prospect to the big leagues, to success, to letting him just walk away and not getting anything in return. That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
But then they went into panic mode because everyone was freaking out and canceling their season tickets and all this. And, I'm excited to see Yoshida pitch. They overpaid. They paid way too much for him. They got Kenley Jansen and Justin Turner. Like, it's great that we have these players to fill some holes, but those guys have been around for a while. It's not going to be better than last year.
No, it's not. You guys are going to be toward the bottom of the barrel again this year, Eric, unfortunately.
Yep, absolutely.
Those were my two teams at the bottom, or that we'll call underachievers again. You guys have any underachievers or losers that you would like to add in?
Well,
Eric's full-on Red Sox. They were the biggest pieces of shit in the offseason.
We referenced earlier the Dodgers underachieved. Probably. They let more go than they brought on.
They did.
Thing, so certainly not what you would expect them to do.
There were two teams that I almost added to this list, and one of them was the Dodgers, and the other one was the Royals, but for kind of opposing reasons. Like with the Dodgers, they were already a really good baseball team. I mean, they had the best record in baseball last year. They definitely underachieved in the postseason. I think at this point, like they didn't need to really add that much. I think they've spent so much in the past couple of years with the players that they have, and they have enough talent on their current roster, even with letting Bellinger go and Trey Turner go. I mean, Bellinger wasn't a big producer for them last year anyway. They did underachieve, but I didn't feel like they were losers in that sense. I feel like they were just kind of towing the line. Yeah. And in the opposite end of the spectrum, the Royals, who were awful last year. They didn't do anything this offseason. I mean, they recently brought in Aroldis Chapman, who was fucking terrible last year. So, why not bring him in? That's
potential trade bait.
A couple
I
of
think
guys.
That's a name.
Yeah, maybe. And, I think what they're trying to do is let the young. Yeah, I think they're just trying to let the young kids get in there and play. But I didn't choose them because there's not much less that they could do to make them any worse, right? They're just going to be bad, and I think that they understand that they're going to be bad. Right. There doesn't seem to be that hesitancy to just like get it going and like let's do this. New manager and all this kind of stuff.
Who's the new general manager?
His name is Matt Quatraro.
Where is he? Where did he come from?
Tampa Bay.
Okay.
He was like a bench coach for Tampa Bay.
So Tampa Bay never spent money. So you guys are still not going to spend any money on anybody. So.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, yeah. Our next playoff appearance will be in 2045. So we got a long ways to go.
You'll have some good homegrown talent,
Yeah. And then they'll go play for the Dodgers and they'll win World Series MVP. That's my list. That's all I got.
Sounds
I feel like
right.
there were a lot of teams just kind of in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
But the big ones were clear for me anyway. Did you guys ever go to the old Rangers Stadium?
Mm-hmm.
The ballpark at Arlington, I think it was called.
Sure did.
I don't know if you remember, but they had some like crazy food choices there.
Mm-hmm.
And the couple times that I went, they had this like one stand that was just filled with like huge items, right? Like it was like, everything is bigger in Texas, that whole kind of
the
spiel.
The boomstick.
They had players at the time that, like they had Nelson Cruz. And so they had a hot dog that was the boomstick. And it was like a 2-foot long hot dog. It had a carrying case.
Mm-hmm. The hot dog with a handle.
It was so ridiculous. They had,
I love that.
And then they had Shin-Soo Choo. They had like I don't remember what they had for him. It was like a taco, like a Korean taco or something like that. That was like a 2-foot long taco that you would just carry in that case.
How do you eat a 2-foot long taco?
Dude, how do you eat a 2-foot long hot dog like that?
That makes a little more sense.
The thing covered in like.
Yeah, I can have 2 1-foot hot dogs. So
yeah, but you have to. I don't know. Listeners can't see what I'm doing. I'm holding up my hands, holding a giant hot dog. But it got me thinking about like all the bad food that MLB has, or that all these stadiums have. Like, there's a lot of good food out there, right?
It's become a bit of a competition by itself.
Yeah, it's so I did some research, and even though the people listening can't see these items, I'll explain them to you. And there are some disgusting choices out there. I'm going to save the best for last, or the worst for last, because there are some really bad ones. So we just talked about the Rangers, right? Well, they have this new one now that is a 2-pound breaded chicken tender that comes on a bed of waffle fries. And it's paired with ranch and honey sauces for dipping, and comes in its own carrying case, just like the boomstick did at one point. But it's a 2-pound chicken tender. Like, I don't know. They must
just one
put them all together
tender?
and then. No, there's no way, dude. There's not a chicken alive that has a 2-pound chicken tender.
Okay. And you know what? Fried chicken. There's nothing unusual or weird about that. The size, obnoxious. Waffle fries, fantastic.
Yeah. That's why it was one of the first ones that I mentioned, because it only gets worse from here on out. Our friends to the north at Rogers Center in Toronto, they have pickle poutine.
Yes.
So it's fried pickle straws, peanut butter gravy, cheese curds, bacon bits, and fresh dill scallions. Why the peanut butter? Who?
Just to make it more unhealthy.
Isn't poutine has gravy on it, smothered in gravy, but is it typically a peanut butter gravy? Is that a thing?
No, absolutely not.
It's a brown gravy.
Yeah, it's a brown gravy and cheese curds and fries, and that's usually what it is. But this one,
it
fried
just
pickles
sounds like
are great,
explosive
right?
diarrhea.
Well, yes, but that's most food in general at a ballpark, I would say.
If I eat that at the second inning, by the fourth inning, forget about it. Like, I'm leaving a trail running to the goddamn bathroom to get rid of that.
Your Boston Red Sox, they have Fluffernutter fries.
Ooh, okay.
So sweet potato fries, topped with crushed peanuts. What is with the peanuts? Crushed peanuts, cilantro, peanut sauce, and fluff sauce. I assume fluff sauce is like the marshmallow fluff. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. A fluffernutter is a peanut butter and fluff sandwich.
Okay. This one doesn't seem that bad, but also just kind of gross in general.
Yeah. Messy. Like all these things are messy.
Really messy. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been to Fenway.
No.
Those seats are old. Like, they're not made for the people of today who are a little bit wider than they were 100 years ago. Like, you're shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee, and then you're trying to get these peanut butter covered fries in your face. Yeah, you're asking for trouble.
So we got more peanut butter. It just keeps coming. The hits keep coming.
I love peanut butter.
This one actually sounds kind of good. And you guys tell me. This one is in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park. It's a burger that is topped with peanut butter, jalapeno jelly, American cheese, and bacon, served on a brioche bun. Now, I see your face, Eric. Coming from the Midwest, there are places that serve peanut butter with burgers.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty good.
Not what I have a problem with.
What is it's
the jelly?
The jalapeno jelly.
Is it there's two different ways you can have a jelly. Like you can have is it super sweet jelly or is it a jellied jalapeno kind of thing?
It doesn't say. It says they call it the PBJ burger, so I would assume it's probably a little sweet.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want it sweet, but okay, all right.
I don't know.
Not my thing.
That one's not bad. I would.
It's a lot going on.
What else do we have here? Ooh, this one's good. The Berg Katsu at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. So katsu, right, which is normally panko crusted chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's ham. So panko crusted ham that is fried.
Go on.
With kimchi and hoisin sauce. But there are also mini pierogies on top of that.
Count me in.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys would fucking...
We're going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, let's do it.
God.
Let's do it. That
it's
sounds
about
delicious.
Equal distance from us. We can...
Sure.
You think that sounds delicious?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that sounds good.
I'd like... I'm not saying it's fine dining, but I would eat that.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would try most of these items just to try it.
I don't understand the pierogies
until you see
the
price tag. Yeah,
it's got to be something with Pittsburgh, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't have to put a pierogi on everything.
Tampa Bay has a foot-long tater tot, which that's pretty normal.
I don't want to make those. Who's got to make those? That job sucks.
Chase Field has a Reuben hot dog.
Ooh, okay. I'm down.
I would eat that.
I'm in.
It's a $30 hot dog.
Hold on.
It's actually two hot dogs in one long bun. Two 18-inch hot dogs. It's a rye bun smothered with mac and cheese, fried pickles, and green onions, topped with a secret sauce.
Mac and cheese? No. Hold on. Mac and cheese is on the Reuben dog?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I saw that one. I think it has
That makes
fried
zero
mac and cheese,
sense.
right?
Is it fried mac and cheese?
Yeah.
Fried mac
Oh
and cheese
no,
balls are
there's
No,
delicious.
another
it's
one.
just mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just mac and cheese as the cheese for the Reuben.
Okay, so there's more.
Ah, I see where you went. Yeah.
So there's another one that has an onion bun, and the mac and cheese on this one is fried. And it's the description on this: its beautifully layered flavor is rounded out by jalapeno, Granny Smith apple coleslaw, barbecue aioli, house cured beer pickles, and green onion.
That sounds good.
That looks disgusting. The last one we got to talk about, and this one is just I don't know what's going on here. But at Kauffman Stadium, they have a barbecue Reese's sandwich. So it is
So they're grilling a Reese's peanut butter cup.
no.
Mm.
So
What could it be then?
It's pulled pork topped with barbecue sauce,
Okay.
bacon bits,
Okay.
and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Why?
The picture is oh my god.
It's frustrating.
It looks like a pulled pork sandwich, and you see the pulled pork, you see the barbecue sauce, which looks great. The bun looks great, and then you just see chunks of Reese's peanut butter cups sticking out of it. Apparently, the story is the guy who runs the cafe there, or the stand there, was at a home barbecue one day, and he had some pulled pork and he had some Reese's, and he put them together, and his neighbors said that it tasted really good, so he put it on the menu at the ballpark.
Boom. Just like that.
So we're going by this one neighbor's.
Oh, this is a fucking travesty. This isn't even food.
It's a war crime.
Yeah,
It is.
that's a fail.
Big
I don't know
time.
what they're thinking. I think that's about it.
I like
for the
talking
food.
about food.
There's like a
Food's good.
$150 burger at Atlanta Stadium called the Champions Burger or some shit that they sold last year.
Does it
Great.
eat for you?
Get out of here.
Yeah, like I doubt anybody bought it, but everything else is, there's flamin' hot cheesesteak at Oakland Coliseum. So it's a cheesesteak with fucking flamin' hot Cheetos on top.
Just
and Cheese Whiz. Why not?
That sounds like a mess as well. In your pants and all over your face.
Oreo Park is offering a pepperoni pretzel with marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, and pepperoni smothered on top of a pretzel stick,
I would eat that.
as well as a crab dip pretzel, which is a pretzel covered in crab dip.
That sounds like a mess,
What's wrong
too.
with a hot dog and some peanuts? And
Right. Yeah, Mariners dogs. You put orange mustard or yellow mustard and fucking diced onions. That's it. That's all you need.
Yep. I mean, the thing I would do is outside of Fenway, there's these guys that just do Italian sausage,
Ooh, yeah.
and it's just fresh grilled peppers and onions. Grab it, bring it in. It's great.
See, that's
That
what it should be.
sounds-
That's what ballpark food
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah,
And that's
not
what it was
these-
for a while until you
Yeah.
Not
started
this
getting...
competition to make the most disgusting, messy thing.
Yeah.
It's
You
almost
guys
like-
want to know the top
like-
five ballparks in terms of food?
Sure.
Based on
This is interesting. Just based on offerings and quality of offerings.
okay.
So coming in at number 5, San Diego Padres.
Fish tacos.
I guess the
Hey.
best item they have is queso birria tacos,
Okay.
which would be good. Number 4 is San Francisco Giants. Number 3, New York Mets, Citi Field. They have the Fuku chicken sandwich from the guys at Momofuku. They also have Shake Shack, which is pretty awesome. Minnesota Twins. They have the best item there is apparently is the chana masala, Indian food at the ballpark. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
And then coming in hot at number 1, your very own Seattle Mariners.
Yes, what's up? And we can't win world championships, but whatever it takes.
Is that because of the crickets, or?
Yes.
No,
it's because of the goddamn garlic fries.
No, that said, so the best item that says almost everything. They mentioned Din Tai Fung, which we talked about. Yeah. They have lobster rolls, ice cream sandwiches from Frozen Rope, a bunch of ice cream, a poke bar, salmon bowl. They have, here's the Oaxacan chapulines, which are the toasted, it's the grasshoppers, not the crickets.
That's right.
Toasted grasshoppers in a zesty citrus seasoning.
Go Mariners.
Go Mariners. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight, gentlemen. As always.
Good chat, boys.
Been fun.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. Thanks to all the listeners out there. Make sure you check us out on Podbean and Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. And we'll see you guys next week.